Alright, listen y'all, I wanted to take this time to let you know before you guys watch the video that there will be a second part to this tier list. So that means that there are going to be 5 videos that you need to comment on to enter yourself into the giveaway. Alrighty, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and make sure you guys provide some feedback to let me know if you want a 15-second explanation of each character and get everything in one tier list, or if you don't mind watching 2 separate tier lists just because of the production quality and gameplay and all that kind of stuff. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video, and best luck to everyone entering the giveaway. Hope you guys enjoy. What's going on? Back plugged in again. What your boy the Prophet? Hey, yo, man. Y'all been waiting for it, man. I'm sorry it's a little bit delayed, but life has been happening. I've been busy, and it's been the good kind of busy. So, you know, I'm thankful, man. And I appreciate you guys so much. I appreciate my community. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys so much. This is video 4. This is it. This is the one I've been waiting for. So make sure you comment down below and let me know that you're entered for the giveaway, or just drop your general comments down below. We're going to be giving away a few $100. We're going to have a few $50 winners on top of the account giveaway for Bleach Brave Souls. So if you guys are into it, make sure you follow everything. Will be linked down in the description, in the pinned comment, and in the description. But so we about to go ahead and get right into it, man. So we about to get it popping. Hope you guys enjoy the content. Let's get it lit. Drop my shit.
They lift it down, but I had to come up. Down into the sun. I had to switch up. No, I ain't mad at you. I just had to come up and look at just what that bag could do. I charged into the game cause I said I won't complain. Ain't been no sunny days, I had to get it out the rain. Look.
Alright, we back plugged in again. Let's go ahead and get right into it, y'all. Quick disclaimer, this is Genshin Impact, okay? Every character, whether free to play, 0 constellations, 6 constellations, if you invest in the character, every single character in this game can be worked around to clear the hardest content in the game. This is actually a fact, okay? Some people don't like tier lists. This is my objective opinion. I always do a lot of research. I always will be providing you guys gameplay at the top left corner as well. So let's go ahead and get into the first character, all right? So we're going to be starting off with the Animo Traveler, okay? And in typical tier list fashion, you know, your best character in that tier is the first character in the tier, all right? So the Animo Traveler. The Animo Traveler is a solid character, but there's this whole charge attack mechanic, and it's kind of clunky. Anytime you have something with the charge attack mechanic in game, it's going to make the cooldown longer of that skill. So at the end of the day, there's sometimes where you press it and you hold it, but it doesn't do the full charge, and it's just kind of weird. It's a little clunky, but it's decent. It's good. Animo characters are pretty good. They can kind of like, she can wall abuse, cause environmental damage against like the wall and stuff like that in Spiral Abyss. That can be very, very good because environmental damage actually scales off of the enemy's maximum HP. So it is a percentage based damage boost. This character can do a lot of that. The downside is that the swirl can only really be taken advantage of or gathered, used in like a gathering scent, a la Sucrose or Venti or Kazuha, who all do that job significantly better because you have to be ranged or maybe using elemental burst to combo inside of the tornado. And if you're not using elemental burst, if you're DPS is someone like Diluc or like a Ching, or, you know, let's even say Ayaka, you know, it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to do 4 consistent damage inside of this type of swirl when that's the general use for these type of swirl gathering characters. Moving on to the Geo main character. Clunky playstyle, but actually very solid character since Geo got buffed. And then there are characters like Zhongli and Albedo. Especially Zhongli is the best because he resonates with other Geo pillars and other Geo constructs. And this character can actually make 2 Geo constructs when pretty much every other character can only have one on field. So if you do have this free-to-play character, the Geo main character, who does also provide you with some crit rate inside of his constellations, which you do get for free. He can group enemies, gather enemies, and he can also do a cheese in certain floors where you can block them in with your ultimate and then drop a few cubes, geo constructs, and kind of block enemies in, and then like you can just make this domain of just punishment, right? And if you have someone like Zhongli on your team, they're gonna just be constantly just ticking out, bleeding out damage from multiple sources of geo constructs on the ground and then taking damage. So I've seen teams that just passively beat like floor 12 in certain iterations of Spiral Abyss because of this character. So like I said, you literally can't say, oh well, this character is in the lowest tier, he's garbage. Nah, like there are synergies that you can do. There are ways that you can mix around and be creative with your characters, and you can actually beat the hardest content in the game passive. Noelle, she is going to provide consistent healing, I would say, at Constellation 1. That's pretty much where you kind of need her to be her most effective. One constellation. She's a free-to-play character, so of course you would have to just be lucky and get the second constellation somewhere randomly from a gacha pool. But she is still a pretty solid character. She doesn't really supply elemental particles. All in all, she is a solid DPS when you invest in her. But all in all, solid character, but she's where she is. Lisa actually benefited from Eula coming into the game because Lisa has defense shred. She does actually factor in some of those higher DPS situations with Eula, so keep that in mind that Lisa does shred defense. Her reactions aren't really the strongest, only because overload there will constantly just be knocked out of her AoE. Her elemental skill does do a lot of damage, but you have to charge it, and also she's one half of Superconduct. So she's one half of Superconduct and she shreds physical defense. That is a combo that can really work in some physical damage characters' favor. Alright, going to be talking about Amber, and you know, some people really like Amber. Unless you're lucky enough but unlucky enough to get one of her constellations. Now, I've seen some really crazy Amber builds where, you know, she can hit for a few 100,000 or higher depending on the modifiers or Spiral Abyss or whatever. Every other bow user out DPSs her as a bow user, except for the fact that she's pyro, but the ones that are pyro or cryo just dump on her. So yeah, man, she just needs some help. Her elemental burst is extremely short and it has very low magnification. Even with the 20% increased AoE, it's still very small. Moving on, I think Beidou is an amazing character. And don't think that just because the character is in the A tier that they're a bad character. Beidou is an amazing character. She's the only character in the game currently that has any sort of countering mechanic. She's able to almost completely mitigate damage while countering for an explosive hit. Her ultimate ability does have a very high cost. At least she funds particles for herself. So that's also a very good thing. Her ult just literally gives your normal attack Electro. So that's very good in a lot of cases. Very strong character. Very solid. Yanfei actually functions kind of like a 5-star. What I mean by that is that she's a pretty selfish character. She gains a lot more from staying on the field or being on the field. But you have characters like Xingqiu who, you know, once activated, his burst can to vaporize most of her hits. And that's incredibly powerful. You know, her charge attacks have crazy magnifications. Her whole entire kit is basically centered around getting her sigils to build that charge attack damage, especially if you vaporize it and you know what you're doing as far as building. You want elemental master or something like that. Yanfei hits like a truck, okay? She can really do some crazy damage. The only thing that I don't like about her is she has that playstyle that makes her a little bit selfish, where you want her in the field as much as possible to kind of build those charges. She's literally a sniper. Like, her range almost seems unlimited, okay? She is very crazy. You combine her with someone like Beidou or someone like Xingqiu. She can really do some crazy things from some crazy distances. We're going to talk about Diona next, our local bartender. Diona is a very, very great character. She scales with cryo bonus damage. She is a bow user, and she's cryo. And she does provide a shield as well as heal you. And those are two of the most important things in most teams. So to have her as a healer and a shielder is very good. She's also extremely good at generating elemental particles. She can trigger melt reactions or set up melt reactions. Some compositions or some team modes where you need, cryo ranged, like the Abyss Heralds and stuff like that. She's very good. We're going to talk about Seiyu. She's an unreleased character as we currently speak, but she will be out very, very soon, and we do have gameplay of her for MiHoYo. She is an Anemo Claymore user. Okay, so her functions are swirling, healing, and elemental shred via the Viridescent set. What she does is that her elemental skill, she turns into this little fox spirit. She does this kick, and the kick can be swirled. And she has a passive skill where whenever she triggers a swirl reaction, she can heal herself and the team. So basically, she's going to kick at first, and then if you hold the skill, she'll roll. She can absorb an element. The longer she stays in it, the more damage resistance she gets, and the more elemental absorption she gets for her bonus damage. She scales with Elemental Master. On-field Anemo. Her ult is just a turret of Anemo. Just shoots Anemo every second or so. Before C1, she does have a healing restriction. So basically what's going to happen is that the turret has a few actions. So if there's anyone on the field that's under 70% HP, it'll target them first, so it'll heal them first. It basically prioritizes anyone under 70% HP to heal first. And then if everyone's over 70% HP, it'll attack an enemy on the field. However, if you get her Constellation 1, then there's no restriction, and it'll attack all the time and heal all the time. And it can heal you beyond 70% HP after this because there's no threshold. Her healing seems to scale very nicely, but yeah, we'll just take a look, and we can do some more tests on her when she comes out. But for now, I think she's extremely good where she's placed. Let's take a look at Chongyun next. He is one of the more solid cryo setter-uppers in the game. When he drops his elemental skill, it turns anybody that's not a catalyst or bow user, it turns our normal attacks to cryo. So you can have Chongyun and Diluc for melt teams, and you can, essentially, and this is before Diluc uses ult, because after he uses ult, it'll like override the infusion. But so you can, as you're doing Diluc's weave, if your hits are cryo infused, you're going to reverse melt every other one. So it's going to be very good for damage in cases like that. But in some cases, you don't want that. You don't want your normal attacks to be infused with cryo, because you're not going to scale most of your characters for cryo bonus damage unless you're literally building. And even if you're built for physical bonus damage, that will overwrite your physical bonus damage, and you will lose that. So in some team comps, Chongyun cannot be used. But yeah, his ult does bring down these chain swords that drop onto the ground, and they can do pretty good damage if reverse melted. So keep that in mind. And for freeze and shatter, he can be pretty solid in that regard as well. All on a very solid Claymore and cryo DPS. Next, we're going to talk about Xinyan. She is a very solid character. She is kind of one of those ones where she has this double scaling with her physical attack and pyro bonus damage. So depending on how you want to build her, most will probably build her for physical bonus damage because her constellations kind of work that way. Pyro greatsword user, very solid character. She does provide a pyro shield, and it is contingent on how many enemies you hit with her elemental skill. And one of her passive talents allow you to gain a level 2 or 3 charge off one less hit. Sacrificial Greatsword works very, very well with this character, and she does cleanse debuffs, but it's so slow. Like I truly feel like they should kind of buff it. It takes like 3 ticks of her shield to cleanse debuffs, and I feel like in some cases before it can cleanse you, you're like getting debuffed again. So you kind of have to pay attention, and then you might not always get the the level 3 shield, you know what I mean, to be able to, you know, cleanse properly. So it's kind of weird. Like I said, I feel like you want to build her physical damage, or you could build her pyro bonus damage. She does have a constellation where her ult will always be a crit. So that's something pretty good, and you can build her stat crit damage in that regard. So that's pretty good, man. Something like that you kind of can't take for granted. So keep that in mind. She's a very solid character at the end of the day. Pyro is always going to be very strong. I wish her cleanse functioned a bit better though. Alright, now we're going to talk about everybody's favorite zombie lolly, Chi-Chi. The reason that she's so low compared to every other 5-star, yes, she does heal. She does her job of healing, and that is true. That is a fact. She does heal by a lot, and when you're early game, you don't know what's going on. You can't build characters. Everyone knows this. You know, that's why there are 4-star sets and there are 5-star sets. And before Air 45, you're going to be using 4-star artifact sets. Why you have 4-star artifact sets, Chi-Chi is a great healer. Keep that in mind, okay? She does scale with attack, which is very good. It's better than like scaling with HP. So at least she can try to do some damage. But her attack scaling is so bad. She really doesn't do damage. And she has an 80 ultimate cost. And she doesn't make any particles. That is the worst travesty and sin that MiHoYo has done to any 5-star. You know, what she does, yeah, she can heal, but like, then you have someone like Diona who's great at generating particles, funds her own art, shields a team, and she can cleanse debuffs. Chi-Chi doesn't cleanse any debuffs either. It's not good. It's not good. Not very good damage. Doesn't fund her art. High alt cost, very minimal elemental reactions, although she can provide some. But if you love the zombie lolly, then congratulations. You know what I mean? Chi-Chi is a great character. Like, her animations are completely fantastic. And I mean, she's super adorable. So don't hate me. Okay, don't hate me. All right, next we're gonna talk about Kaya. The sad thing about Kaya is you would think that his alt can just constantly make cryo reactions, but it actually only affects one enemy like per rotation. So even though you have all of these, like, you have these 3 spherical things around him, only one person can be damaged unless they're basically on top of each other. As far as the elemental skill, it does apply a very great amount of cryo application. The elemental burst, it's good too. It's good too. It's off-field cryo. You know, you can set up some really good melt reactions and stuff like that. It's very great for sure. The only thing is, like I said, he can only get one enemy per like rotation. It's weird, but it's been proven. Barbara is our free-to-play healer, and she does her job. The thing is that she doesn't make elemental particles, just like Chi-Chi. 80 elemental cost, just like Chi-Chi. But yeah, the thing about her is, man, she applies hydro wet status on you, which allows you to be frozen or mangled or electrocharged or just melted or just vaporized or just sad. Okay, it's very sad when you got the electro around you and it just destroys you. Okay, it's sad. All right. Next we're gonna talk about the Electro Traveler. The thing about this character is it's sad because they fund a lot of elemental particles, and because of like how they work, they throw the skill out, right? And for as many people as you contact with the skill, it leaves the little sigils and you can pick them up and recharges your energy or whatever. But you can either only do this for yourself or for your team. And if you're funding energy for the team, but then you can't fund your alt for yourself, it's kind of counterproductive. I will say though, the playstyle is extremely smooth. It's a lot better than the other travelers, so definitely keep that in mind. You don't have this clunky geo construct to walk around and dodge enemies, and where there's no charge attack that locks you in place and messes up your recharge. And so the character functions properly. The thing is, you actually need another Electro character in the team, and then this will help the synergy go a lot better. I think the Electro Traveler is without a doubt the best traveler in the game thus far. or have the best potential, even though we can only get 3 of the constellations at the current moment. Once we get the other 3, I think maybe the tables could flip a bit, but we'll all see, man. We just need a little bit more testing. Alright, now we're going to go on to our S tier characters. I'll say this once again, these are absolutely amazing characters, okay? I'll say this again, these are some amazing characters, alright? There are a few things that are going to be considered a little bit more. Usefulness of a character and how many different scenarios and team compositions. Also, we're not just considering multiple constellations. A 5-star will only maybe considering the first constellation. 4 stars, just a few constellations considered. So Xingqiu, man, this guy is one of the, like, this dude is incredible, okay? One of truly the best hydro supports in the entire game, alright? Aside from Constellation 4 Tartaglia, which is just way far off, best hydro application in the entire game. This dude is absolutely wicked. He himself does ridiculous. Most of his constellations are pretty much damage. His elemental skill gets you like 4 to 5 particles. Like, it's ridiculous. And then you combine this with anything that gives you crazy recharge, or something like the sacrificial sword, which is literally like a 5-star weapon on this dude. And it is incredible, the possibilities, the damage, the synergy that you can get. I mean, I tell you, this character is single-handedly responsible for some of the best damaging strats in the game for most standard Pyro characters. And Pyro is the basic god tier GOAT element in this game. So this character is a very universal character, good in almost any team that you can put in Genshin Impact. So in the early game you might not see his usefulness, but once you can max him out and you can get an artifact set to give him energy recharge up to a certain extent, about 160 to 240 would actually be good for him, then you will see how amazing this character is, okay? Sucrose, she's such an amazing character. It's ridiculous. Like, Swirl has gotten buffed so much, and every hit she has can swirl, okay? So keep that in mind. Swirl scales off of your character level, alright? Dude, just give her elemental mastery everywhere and she's going to absolutely smack around content. Like, it's not even funny. And this character has been featured in so many banners. Most people have a C6 Sucrose, or at least C4. This character is astounding at what she does, gathering and grouping enemies. Her biggest downsides are the fact that she has very minimal iframes, which are invincibility frames or invulnerability frames, when she casts her skill and her burst, which means you gotta throw that thing and dash cancel, or else you're gonna get smacked across the map, fam. I'm gonna just let you know that right now. Same with her elemental skill, throw it and dash cancel so you don't get the life smacked out of you, okay? Other than that, man, this is a great character. Something like Sterling Tales of the Dragon Slayer, and she can actually buff your team on top of Viridescent, which is going to give you Elemental Shred, on top of her Elemental Mastery transfer that she can do at a certain constellations or certain passive skill level. All in all, man, this character got massively buffed and she definitely deserves her credit. I'm going to talk about Keqing next. Keqing doesn't get the credit that she deserves, and the only reason that she's back this far is because she doesn't provide much to the team aside being a main DPS. And as I explained to you, that as a DPS, she can carry you to the furthest heights in Abyss. But what you should also know is that a lot of characters can do that. Does that make sense? You can get some crazy cracked damage numbers with this character, and her play style is super intrinsic. She is the only character in the game that can teleport. She has a very fun playstyle. She can do some crazy crack damage numbers. She really gives you that truistic samurai, I'm fast as lightning type of feel, and her playstyle is super graceful, elegant, man. She's a very great character. It's just that she's just a main DPS, and that's her only sin. And a lot of characters can kind of do that role or slide into that role in certain degrees, but she's going to get you higher damage numbers than most of the characters in the game, you know, foreboding certain reactions. Alright, we're going to talk about Fisher, one of my personal favorite characters. I think there can be an argument between Fischl and Kaching, because Fischl can be a main DPS as well as an elemental support. But if you're using your Fischl for physical damage, then you're missing out on her greatest skill, which is off-field electro turret with 100% uptime. And if you're building for physical damage, then you're losing out on 30 or 46% of your damage just because of your cup. So keep that in mind. Physical DPS Fischl, you do have to know how to work her. Like, it's not just fire. Like there are mechanics and stuff that you can figure out to literally magnify her bow damage where she's using physical. So keep that in mind. And she also is one half of Superconduct for her physical Fischl self. So keep that in mind. Mona, listen, this character is absolutely amazing. The thing about her is that, first of all, she can skate underwater. So she can literally surf on top of water. Her ultimate literally makes for some of the highest damage numbers in any game possible. There's nothing else in the game that lets you one person lets you magnify damage like her ultimate. Her elemental skill, it does provide a taunt, which is extremely good. So in that regard, she's very, very good. At the end of the day, her best role is that support damage magnifier. At the end of the day, man, she is extremely, extremely good at that. Rosaria, one of my personal favorite characters as well. She is the cryo mistress that we've all been waiting for, okay? Her ultimate can apply the best instances of on-field cryo for consistent melt or reverse melts in the game. Some characters can triple or quadruple melt her ult and her elemental skill combined. So that is extremely potent, and the triple, quadruple melt is with her Constellation 2, which is pretty much her bread and butter. She can help your team because she passes crit rate. So, the more crit rate you give her, the more crit rate she can pass over to your team. If you get 100% crit rate, she'll give your team 15% crit rate, passes on after she pops her elemental burst or skill. Superconduct teams as well. She can function as a main DPS, but you don't really want to use her for that because she's the slowest polearm striker in the entire game. So Crescent Pike doesn't work extremely well with her playstyle, even though it's still a very, very great op. All in all, man, I think her C2 enables her to be the best crowd support probably in the game as far as for consistency. If you get them in this AoE that you can reverse melt umpteenth or so many times. So very great character in that regard. Razor is weird because he's gotten better and gotten worse at the same time. More DPS characters come out, so he's gotten worse comparatively, even though he can still do the job extremely well. But physical DPS has just gotten a buff pretty recently. He is a pretty solid character. Very, very, you can get some crazy damage, like 17k just superconduct swings from your normal attack. Like it's kind of ridiculous. But you got to think about it. Superconduct is a reaction. Like I said, one half of Superconduct makes him very, very good. And he just absolutely shreds people. Alright? Talking about Ning Wang, absolutely does 5-star damage. Like, this character is ridiculous. Her C1 enables her to do AoE damage, which is essential to her instead of just single target damage. Her Jade Screen allows some of the highest geo damage comp because you walk through it, you get 15% more geo damage, and so you kind of want to wombo combo her skill and her burst at all times. You never want one without the other, kind of like love and marriage. You dig me? So yeah, man, Ning Wang absolutely does crack numbers. I've seen her break down Spiral Abyss. She does very, very good numbers. She's one of those where you want to keep her out on the field as much as you can, or you want to keep her out on the field until she gets those J charges, of course, at C6. That is, kind of minimized, but at the end of the day, that's just slight consideration. And then, man, she does 5-star DPS numbers, just so you guys know. She's a very, very great character. Alfredo. This character, man, he's in a good place, but kind of a weird. I want him to be good, and I want to put him in teams, but to me, it seems like there's always someone kind of better. The thing about him is he can do really amazing passive DPS numbers off the field. Like, his blossoms can hit for like 15, 17k every second or so, which is crazy. Like, it's crazy, bro. Like, I've seen some Albedo do some ridiculous damage. But the thing is, he does pass the Elemental Mastery but he shreds elemental instances. So it's like, yeah, you boost elemental mastery for characters on the field in your AoE, but you're literally taking half of the reaction because of crystallization. So it literally nerfs your other damage. And it's weird. It's very weird. So you're not getting as much damage for your team as you think you are. Now there are some cases where maybe you're using like superconduct, and I mean I think in that case it would be crazy. Like, you know what I mean? But and there are comps where him, Ning Wong, and Zhang Li can just, you can just sit there with your arm folded, dude, and like watch people die. Like it's crazy. I mean, you can even do Geo main character in there if you want, and just have the full Geo squad. Like that would just be ridiculous, right? But yeah, man, he's a great character, and he can do some insane passive damage numbers. So just keep that in mind, man. This is a pretty solid character, pretty fun playstyle with the Ala Freydeveller. That's what I call it. But yeah, you know, his elemental, the flower, it lifts you in the air. You can plunge off of it. So if you're like elemental infused, you can actually do plunge reaction plunges, which is pretty cool to see. I actually like doing that. Getting like 50k melts with my Diluc, or 50k plunge, you know what I'm saying, melt with my Hutao, stuff like that. Pretty solid, man. A very fun place. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all, man. Listen, I just wanted to kind of stop the video here. It is at about the 30-minute mark, and there is at least 45 minutes of other footage for me to include or leave out. And it's really hard because I want to talk about each character and their pros and cons, and sometimes even what are the best teams or the best weapons. But it's like it's so much information, and when I look up, it's like the video will be so long. So I'm going to have to go ahead and cut the video here. We are going to go ahead and do a second part. So there's now going to be 5 videos in the giveaway. So the other one should be out, part 2, which will be the final completion of the tier list. Part 2 will be out tomorrow, okay? So it's just taking a while to edit, and I don't want to have a 50-minute video. I just feel like 2 videos would be better, one way or the other. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. But everyone, the giveaway is coming to a close. It's coming to an end. So best of luck to everybody. There's going to be at least 3 $50 cash prize winners on top of the person that gets the Bleach Brave Souls account. And we will be summoning on that account tomorrow, the day that the last video comes out for the giveaway. So, hopefully I see you guys there. Until next time, Private Nation, I do love y'all. But I'm out.